I've been back a lot to my own. I sort
Yeah.
of thought I wouldn't need to go back more than once or twice, but each time there's either a different depth of sensitivity that I re-experience it. I
Yes.
did one with Samantha Nolan Smith once, where again it was like the conveyor belt thing, but then I experienced the sensitivity of being in a body and people touching me without permission, and that was like
I've
needles.
had that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like a little tiny baby in the process, just going, "Don't touch me," but I couldn't stop them, and
I think
it
that's why
really.
I chose home birth when I had that experience as well, because I had a process around that.
Mm,
I think that's when I went, okay, home birth, as much as, I mean, I was lucky because my first two were birth center with the same midwife and there
mm,
were a lot of strangers around. But after that, I was really, really like, I don't want anyone who doesn't know my child touching
yeah,
me.
and maybe that's why water birth's so gentle, because they come out into
Yeah.
water. Um, I think it's still gentle on land when it's coming to you, to the mother, and maybe you've talked to the baby and so on, but the water really carries your weight, gentle, and you brought out in that way. It's very gentle.
Oh, I mean, I could just talk about this for hours and hours and hours. It's just so ridiculous. I mean, I remember, when I was training to be a doula and, them explaining about how some women get stuck in, birth, like the labour stalls or whatever. And they said it's because when the baby's head's coming down through and it's in the, vagina, women store so many emotions and memories in the muscles and the walls of our vagina, including sexual experiences
Mm.
um, and she said, so with the baby's head, the pressure that it puts onto, those spots is literally activating them. So if a woman's holding a lot of trauma in her vagina and then suddenly the baby's head's pressing against it, she's going to have emotion activated, but because she spent a lifetime shutting it down, she just goes into that automatic impulse of shutting down, but then that shuts the whole labor down.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that's when then they, in hospitals and they start to do interventions and things like that. She said, but, when you come at it from the spiritual point of view, a good midwife is watching the woman, will notice,
See the shutdown happening.
the shutdown happen, and she'll say, what are you feeling? And so often just articulating it, if the woman
Can
just said,
release it, yeah.
just saying, I feel scared, and she doesn't even
Yeah.
have to say what she's scared about, because often the mind will say, oh, I'm scared about giving birth, but it's not really that. It could be something else. But just saying, I feel fear, all of a sudden it's just like, it releases, and then the labor starts up
It's
again.
allowed to finish, because emotions are meant to be felt. So when it moves, and it's moving all the other fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't going back to, we don't have that training, for in the hospital system. They don't train midwives to do that, to have that understanding. But that's why I'm so big on, well, let's clear that even before the birth. Yeah, if you can even do that, so you don't have that in birth, even better. But a good midwife will be able to even help you transition through those emotions through the birth process. So. Oh, look, I mean, I look back now with my last one, I wish I had a midwife there. I mean, I know looking back at who I was then and why I needed to do it on my own with no midwife, no one, like I've had to look at that part of myself and kind of go, all right, that's the really strongly independent part of me that wants to do things the hard way because I've got to prove I can do it on my own, like, whereas, in hindsight, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I would have had a much easier time because it's really hard if I'd had a midwife there. I love having midwives, and it would always be my preference to have a woman-centered birth where you have beautiful midwives and everything. But for me, it was, I needed to
That
do
was
it.
your step at the time, right?
Yeah.
And you were born with forceps, were you, as well? And
Yes,
so was
yeah,
I.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I have the things you're saying relate to me for like how we were born, like where it's come from, but needing help at the end. And this, it's either goes like fierce determination to do something on your own, to
Yeah,
prove that you can. And that's what
yeah.
happened to my second birth was a free birth by accident, because the midwife didn't get there in time. And it gave me so much confidence. Oh, it was so funny, and he came out yelling, so I knew he was all right and everything. Oh, it was so funny. And the midwife came out, still sat in the shower. She wasn't long after that, but it gave me that when I processed it afterwards. I looked at one point I was fearful, but when I went into it afterwards, I also had the peace around me. When there was two levels, there was some genuine fear, but there was also this being held and knowing it was okay. And when loads of people said to me, "Weren't you scared?" because it wasn't, you know, planned. I was like, what of? At that point in time, as I was giving birth, nothing was going wrong. I might have been scared had there been a problem and there was no midwife, but I knew on that level that, you know, I wasn't even thinking about it, but I knew it was okay. So there was nothing to be scared of. Not like, oh, but what if this, what if that, what if, well, they weren't there because it wasn't happening like that. So there wasn't the fear, and it gave me a lot of confidence.
I think when you know, like we've done so much work about, and we have that ability to just go into the body, like it, because I only experienced fear in the last birth, right at the end when after her head came out, and I'd never experienced fear. Like I'd had, you know, negative thoughts and thoughts before, but I'd never experienced fear in the birth because you just go into the body, it just takes over. And so I learnt with the last one when I had, you know, the head came out, and then I just had this like fear just went vroom through my body, like it just went like. And I said to Nick, and it wasn't even something I thought about, like it just came out. It was like, Nick, I need help. And so that's when you see in the video, he gets her and he's like trying to ease her out, which is the worst feeling. It's like, no, stop. Because I could feel him pulling, like it was just like, and he was doing it really gently, but it felt like, it's like, stop. But, you know, and later I was like, I can only guess that her shoulder was stuck. Like, I just think that her shoulder was stuck. And she needed it. Like, I don't think she fully rotated, even though I've looked at it and I've studied and I'm like, yeah, she rotated and everything. Like, there was nothing that I could see from the video that was wrong. But it's the only birth that I literally just had. So I think that your body will let you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like if you're, and this is what I think, like what we we're talking about before, when women get stuck in birth and when the labour stalls and everything because they've had emotion come up, on some level they're still in their head. They're still in the conscious mind. They haven't fully surrendered and gone deep into that primal place. Whereas I found that in all my births, I just went into such a primal place where the mind's gone and it's just so instinctive. And so then if anything's going to happen, your body will let you know. Like it let me know that I needed help. And it was only a little bit of help, like it wasn't a lot. But I did notice with the fourth one, because I didn't have a midwife there or a female there, that I didn't go so deep. Like the mind was still kind of watching and observing, because I think that I felt like I had to do that. You know, I was the one who had to, you know, have make sure everything was going all right. So that's why I'm a big believer in, you know, when you've got a midwife there.
I think it's really important because you can just look in her eyes and you know that she knows.
Yeah.
And a man can't know. He can be really supportive, and I think it's really important, like if it's your partner or someone that you know that you want there, it can be so supportive and really give you that strength. I could feel Omar just there. His strength, it really helped me, and it didn't substitute for when I had my midwife. He called the midwife out for my third birth. He said, I know you don't want her out yet, but I'm calling her for me. And it was like, yeah, actually that's really valid, because he was reassured by that. It relaxed him more, and she was able to really help me, because the part where, you know, he wants to be helpful, so early labor massage, that's great. But the time I was on the toilet after I got out of the bath and I was like roaring and pushing, he wanted to massage me and I was just like, go away, you know, like, and she was just like, would you like to sit next to me? And he was like, she knew what I wanted and what I needed, and he didn't in the same way. He wanted to be helpful, but he wasn't instinctively there the way she was. So he hadn't read that I didn't want to be touched at that moment.
No.
You know, like it was really strong. You know,
and then I mean, they're so emotionally invested about you, about the baby. It's hard for them to, I've had so many men write to me or comment saying that they cried when they witnessed my birth, because they'd never seen a birth, but like they just had this primal experience, you know, like just seeing someone and like it was so moving to them on a heart level, seeing the primal aspect of birth, you know, they find it beautiful. Yeah, and that's what we're meant to tap into.